Oh, that's not even right. Never mind. It's actually almost 7 o'clock p.m. on the 23rd. That part is right. Heat some water up for some tea. I've got a full canister of coffee and I don't want to open it just before I leave. I just wanted to get a shot of this. This is one of the rare times that I'm actually using Tinker as a workspace, which seems funny, but I almost never work in here because there's never enough room because I got too much stuff in the way. But it's really windy outside and I think the sun is just about down now. So now's the time to actually use the space inside. So yeah. So what did I come up with here? This is, I don't know if this was on the other video or not. This is the up converting charger that goes from solar to battery. It takes about 20 volts and kicks it up to about 40 volts, rough numbers. This is the down converter that takes the 36 volts at the battery down to 12, which basically just runs the taillight right now. But it could also be, yeah, actually it's going to run the phone charger also. And then a couple junction boxes. And if I hit this switch right here, the awesome blinking light. I spent some time on the Raspberry Pi Pico programming the perfect blink. Because what I'm thinking is if you're cruising down like a desert highway, I don't need super fast strobing and I don't need it on constantly. Just a little bit of an attention getter to, you know, so you'd kind of, somebody would notice something was there kind of thing. So I forget what it is exactly now. I guess we could time it 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 or 4 seconds between blinks, and then it's about 0.2 of a second on, so it looks almost like a strobe. Yeah, kind of cool. The idea was it uses very little power because it's only on briefly. So if you look at how long it's on in a 10-second cycle, it's, you know, very small. Anywho, so while I was working on the bike, I had taken this whole panel off, which is just held on with 4 bolts and a screw on the back. The whole thing came off. That made it really neat because a couple times when I was testing bike batteries, I could take the solar panel, put it on a bench. I was putting clamps on the solar panel because it was so windy I didn't want it to fly away. Plug the solar panel into the controller, plug a battery in, and it was a self-contained power system that wasn't on the bike. And this came off in basically 2 pieces. Simple, right? So next I'm going to put the panel on, and the panel includes this piece of wood with the cutouts to reduce the weight. That's actually siding from the house, a leftover piece. And I put that on just to give it a little bit more strength so that the panel doesn't get broken if the bike tips over. The wood sticks out. Turn it around. Yeah, this is right here is the edge of the panel, and so it sticks out a little bit, and it's got a big enough piece that I've laid it over gently a couple times. I haven't flat out. No, actually, I take that back. Well, no, I haven't dropped it since I did the cutouts. I have gotten blown over in the wind one time before I did the cutouts, and the panel was fine. It was well supported. These holes go into these cross pieces, so it's really strong. Okay, so these are the new and improved or whatever. I've got 4 tool batteries in here. And the other 2 on this side. They are wired in, I'll just say 2S, 2P. It's a 20 volt battery, so 2 of them in series, that's the S for 2S, is 40 volts. That's basically the same voltage as what I was running before, so I didn't even change any of my settings. And then 2P is 2 of them in parallel, so you go 2 in series to double the voltage, and then 2 in parallel gives you more runtime. Those are 5 amp hour batteries. So I don't have a lot of capacity, but they seemed like they worked good. I tested them today. I'm a little nervous about it because I have barely tested them. But after going to town and back and pushing them pretty hard, they still had a decent amount of power left on them, and this is without solar. I just ran the bike on them, and when I measured the voltage on them, they were all four within 1/100th of a volt. They had stayed perfectly in sync, which is a good sign. So my reasoning for getting them is the spot welds that I did weren't working. Tool batteries are made to be pretty roughly handled, so I figured they probably did a good job putting them together. These are from Harbor Freight, so not necessarily, you know, top line kind of things, but they're inexpensive. I got them for $40 a battery. I found a guy on eBay that was selling them. They're new in package, so they were cheaper than they were from Harbor Freight. So I don't know what happened, or you know how he got them, but they seem like they're doing good. So yeah. Honestly, I'm starting to really hate bicycles as far as bicycle maintenance. It's a pain in the butt. I like riding them, but I hate fixing them. Yesterday or day before, I slimed all the tires. Seems like they're holding really good. I had a slow leak on the front tire and on the trailer tire. And it was just like every morning you'd pump it up and it would run all day. But by the end of the day, it started feeling soft kind of thing. So figured I couldn't find the leak. You know, it's one of those little tiny leaks that doesn't blow bubbles or not fast enough to see them. So it's like, well, a little bit of slime that usually plugs them right up. So a terrifying feeling of what did I forget? Irony, my life's work for the last 2 years was building these battery packs, and I'm not taking them. Hopefully it's a good decision. They were kind of flaky, and I just don't have time for that. I felt like I was dragging or delaying or something, kind of holding back this morning, but I don't know if that's probably just nerves or whatever, you know, typical terrified before you leave kind of thing. Once you get going, everything's fine. It's either fine or it's not, but if you don't start, you don't know. I don't know if I'm going to have any internet for the next few days. So I'll post when I can, and I'll keep shooting in the meantime, and then I can upload when I get a chance. Cool. All right, off we go. This is interesting terrain. This is good training. I keep going up and down these little rolling hills. They're not super big. It's just enough where you have to shift down. I'm getting a feel for what the motor needs and how good the battery is and how good solar is. So that's good. The new and improved parking stick is a little bit too short, but if I plan my angles, it works okay. It's 2 sticks that are connected together at the top. It seems to work. I like it. Anyway, it's just windy enough. I'm going to put my sweatshirt on. It was supposed to be about 80 degrees today, but it doesn't feel warm. So the good news is it's mostly a crosswind. I don't know if you can see anything that I can see a streamer on the fence, but it's basically blowing across me, which doesn't really hurt me too much for speed, but I really feel it in the handlebars. I'm constantly getting jostled around, so it's wearing me out. It's kind of weird. I haven't really rode much in the last week. Since I was home, I was fixing stuff, so I did do a ride yesterday to test the new batteries. So far they're working, but I'm not going to make a big deal out of them until I test them for a week or two at least. Short version though, I bought some Harbor Freight tool batteries, the Hercules, 20 volt, 5 amp hours. Got 4 of them, 2 series, 2 parallel, so it gives me 40 volts. That's working out pretty good. It's basically the same voltage I had on the other battery pack, so I didn't have to make any changes on the settings. And it's up to 40 volts, so I guess get going before this thing blows over. Yeah, it's about 2 o'clock, 2:30. I'm making decent enough time. I just kind of got a slow start again today, so we'll see how it goes. know I'm actually close to home, but this feels more like Africa or something like that. Those hills in the distance look pretty cool. Yeah, I honestly didn't get as far as I expected today, but I think it was close to 11 o'clock by the time I actually left the ranch. And then I took because it was 11 o'clock and I didn't eat that big of a breakfast, stopped in Sierra Blanca and ate some of my lunch there. Bought some snacks and some drinks. Sun is fairly high. It's 5:30. I've been stopped for about half an hour. I'm starting to run out of power. So I figured, all right, I'll stop and get a charge. Got camp half set up already. I think I can get a little bit of a wind shelter from the bike. Uphill is this way, so I'm going to have my head there and tuck it in as close to the bike as I can when I get things set up a little bit. At the moment, yeah, we're getting 1.5 amps of charge. We're up to 40 volts. 41.5 is cutoff. So at this rate, I might not get completely full, but I think by the time the sun goes down, I'll be nearly full. So that's kind of what I'm thinking is for my strategy. Plan on stopping earlier, like the very first night, Fabens, when I ran the batteries right completely dead. That was about sunset. After that, I started stopping earlier, and it worked a lot better because then you got some power in the morning. So if I decide to, I can hit the road. Sunrise is at 7, so I could, I'm going to probably wake up before sunrise anyway. And I never used to be an early riser, but when you're living on solar, you tend to wake up earlier just to take advantage of the power. Otherwise, you sleep through the day and you don't have any power. Anyway, the wind is kind of dying down. I've been having a crosswind blowing this way, which, a crosswind is, it's not a headwind, it's not a tailwind, so it's kind of neutral, but it's constantly bouncing you. And it wears your arms out, constantly adjusting and trying to fight it. It's a workout. So for anybody who thinks electric bikes are cheating or solar electric bikes are cheating, I'll tell you, I'm still doing more work, I think, than it is. And I would have to think, now here's the thing, if I didn't have, okay, let's do it this way. If I didn't have the motor, then I wouldn't need the battery. Then I wouldn't need the solar panel, which does cause a lot of wind drag. That really affects how the bike handles in the wind. And it's also just frontal drag. I mean, if you look at it from the front, it's as wide as my handlebars, so it's more drag than my body is just about. I mean, it's flat, but it's sticking out a ways. Now, if you were touring, you would still need something to sleep on. You maybe wouldn't take a full army cot. But I gotta say, so far, I'm really glad I've been bringing this, because a place like this, there's thorns all over the ground. I can be up off the ground, and it's comfortable to sit on too. Okay. When I reloaded the bike this time, I did not bring the camp box that I was using before. I had planned on sitting on that. And what I realized is, like for instance, in the morning, I can reach into one of these bags and pull out clean underwear and socks and not even pull the bag out, right? So I don't have to unload the bike just to get something. And the same on the other side. The sleeping bag is behind this blue bag here. So I've got the sleeping bag in a backpack. I can pull that out fairly easily now that the cot is out. The cot rests on this rack here. So, I've been using this for a few years, so I can set it up in about a minute, It's not a big deal. It does take up a little bit of space. It is kind of heavy, but I think it's worth it. But if I didn't have, I guess what I was starting to say, would this trip be easier if I had an ultra lightweight backpacking tent, sleeping bag, I could have a little stove, not nearly as much stuff, right? Yeah, in a lot of ways, it would probably, the weight of the system is offset by, it's delivering enough power to offset itself, but it's still a workout because you're constantly balancing the weight. So the less stuff I have, the easier things would be. Another example, back here, this black bag on the back, that one is all tools for the electrical stuff. Wire strippers and crimpers and extra connectors. So if I tear a wire or something like that, I could fix it again. If I didn't have an electric bike, I wouldn't need that. I could have a lot smaller toolkit on the other side. I've got the regular hand tools. If I had a simpler bike, I wouldn't need half the tools. Okay. The weight of the trailer, I made it extra strong to protect the solar panel, right? So if there wasn't a solar panel, I could cut the whole top of the trailer off, still carry a backpack and a few things. So it's something I'm considering for in the future, because I'm probably going to do this again. But if I develop things a little bit better, get the weight down, don't use steel, use aluminum or carbon fiber even, or something like that, make a really lightweight system. This bike, I like it. I mean, it was one of the bikes that was donated, but it's pretty heavy. If I had a lighter bike, this would be a lot easier ride. Okay, so if I had the light bike, a light trailer, and the same system, I could shave 20 pounds just right there. That would make a huge difference. Because I am going through the desert, I'm carrying at least a gallon of water. And I'm looking ahead, how far can I go? Where can I, buy more water or get more water? So it's something I'm thinking about. If this particular route that I'm on today, or this trip, I'm kind of going through the outback a little bit. And I'm doing that on purpose for two reasons. One, I've already gone to El Paso, so I don't want to do that again. And two, I want to test things a little bit because there's another leg that's going to be pretty remote. So I kind of want to get a feeling, how much water do I really need? Can I carry enough water? How many cans of food do I need to get a week or something like that? And then I'm looking ahead, how many of the little towns are going to have some kind of a store? I mean, if there's a dollar store, I'm set, The other thing, when I came through Sierra Blanca, even though I had a bunch of water, I bought a Coke and a Gatorade, and I've been drinking those to save the water. And, extra sugar on a day like today actually helps. I haven't gone up any really steep, long hills, but it's been a lot of rolling hills. So you're constantly up the hill, down the hill, up the hill, down the hill. And then, after replacing the front brake, I was nervous coming down some of the steep hills. So I was like slowing way down and not letting too much speed build up. I'd like to not break the front brake again if I can help it. So I'm kind of working into that. I think I did a much better job this time. But anyway, I don't know if this showed up in the last video or not. I got a solar light here. Wherever it is, there it is. And two on the back. I figure if you got a solar bike, you might as well put solar lights on it too. If nothing else, for camp lights, it'll give me a little bit of glow so I can see what's going on around here. And if I end up on the side of the road, I mean, I'm off the road, and this has been a pretty quiet road so far. I'll bet there hasn't been 20 cars in the last 4 hours, I guess. 4 or 5 hours. It hasn't been very much traffic at all. So I don't expect to have a lot of noise or anything. Oops, get out of the shadow. Do not shadow the solar panel. That is the hardest thing to remember. Don't stand there. I mean, I live with solar, but I got to remember, don't stand there. I really need that to charge. But so far things are working good today. I am appreciating the amount of time I spent the last few days redoing everything. I think I've got a better setup now. So time will tell. The new batteries are doing pretty well. I think it's less capacity than what I had before, but they seem to charge. I mean, that's the thing. If it's a smaller battery, it'll charge faster, and that seems to be working. So I've had a few times where I just needed to get off the bike for a minute or stop and stretch, and within 5 minutes I'd look down middle of the day. Yep, batteries are full. You know, I can still rest if I want to, but there's no reason for the bike to rest. It's ready to go. So hopefully that holds up. I guess, yeah, we'll see. Anyway, that's about it for now. All right, thanks for watching. As always, thanks for all the support. I really do appreciate it. You guys are keeping the wheels rolling here, so any help is much appreciated. All right, bye for now.